Today, in this very short presentation, I would like to present you the tool, the so-called tool Green Index. It is a tool that has been developed in the last 2 years, now let's say 3 years, from another action group. It's called the Microfinance and Environment Action Group, and is meant to be an innovative tool to measure the environmental performance of microfinance institutions. And as a consequence of that, to contribute to raise awareness, environmental awareness among partners, so microfinance institution and investor mainly, and support strategic planning for environmental engagement for microfinance institution and intermediary financial institution at large when we focus on micro and small enterprises. So let me give you first of all some summary of what we observe in the market since the last, let's say, 5 years. We see that there is an increasing interest in introducing environmental elements within the product and strategy of MFI. So there have been some surveys and some analysis that have shown, and data report also in the mixed market that we show you afterward, but there was some sectorial studies that show increasing interest first, but also engagement of microfinance institutions in developed products that has environmental dimension within that. So, for example, financing renewable energies or other things, so or investment for adaptation to climate change. And then we see that indeed there are many green products, pilots that have been implemented, that are presently under design phase, both done directly by microfinance institutions or with the support of international programs. Nowadays, we're on a kind of pilot phase, but there is a consolidating moment for this product. And investors and donors, even as you can imagine, in the period in which we live, where environment is quite high on the agenda at the international level, look for how to assess environmental performance of the institution in which they finance. So, and that is more tricky if we speak about institutions that finance poor household or micro enterprises, so microfinance institutions. So various investors have developed their own tools to do that, and they're looking more for some standardized tool. And a microfinance institution, when we speak with them, they say, okay, it's fine, I'm interested to go in this business, but how can I keep track of my progress, and how can I how can I manage strategic planning for that? So for that, we thought some time ago that would have been interesting to gather together the experience that we had till there and design an index that could be accepted by the market and able to measure and track the environmental performance of microfinance institutions, and that's the Green Index. So before going to that, let me give you a slide of how we see the market nowadays in green microfinance. So if you just take, for example, data from the mixed market, this is the picture I show you here. You see that the number of institutions that are reporting on their environmental performance is increasing. Here, the big number here you see are the number of institutions that report on the mixed market about the social performance. And this other line is written here are 3 different standards about the environment. So the first one are institutions that declare that they are implementing some environmental awareness raising activities. The green one are institutions that declare to have some tools to measure the environmental risk of their clients. And the violet line here are institutions that declare to have some credit products that finance renewable energy and energy efficiency, or sustainable agriculture. So all this kind of activity we can define as green. So the message from this slide is that interest in reporting is increasing. And this instead we see the picture from investors. So the Symbiotics run an MIV survey every year, so finance investment vehicle survey, where they ask many kind of questions to have a measure of the sector where it's going. And among them, there are a couple of questions related to the environment, and we see that we keep track of the answer of the investor. There is a relevant and growing number of MIVs that try to integrate environmental issue in their environmental decision, in their investment decision. Here, this is a small exercise we've been doing together with the European Microfinance Platform and the mixed market to try to understand, okay, we see growing interest. We would like to know what the outreach is. So we select some sample of MFIs that we know that have developed some green products, and we try to measure how many green credits they disburse a year, and what's the volume of their portfolio dedicated to green investment. And here you see the blue one are measured, so it's 2013, 2014 data, and this is the average portfolio for MFI that's engaged in green activity. So it's around $800,000 US dollar 2013, and then it's growing to almost 1.2 million. And this is the percentage of the portfolio dedicated to green for microfinance institutions that engage in green, in developing green products. And these other gray are projection for the future. And here you see the number of loans. So that's just some slides to tell you that there is an increasing interest, I was saying, from various actors. And now, so the idea is, if it is there is an increasing interest, it would be nice to, as I was saying, design tools that could support the engagement. What's happening here? You are now the hosting of this meeting. Okay. So fine. But how to measure the environmental engagement of a microfinance institution? We should first of all look at the market, as we were saying, and see what green is. So from experience in the last 5 years, we have seen that a microfinance institution could decide to go green, so to develop their environmental engagement along different dimensions that are summarized here. That go along 3 main dimensions. One is the strategy, so to have some strategic planning for environmental management. That could be at the level of management inside the institution. That could be a level of procedures. There could be a level of assignment of duties to the various employees, or could be reporting, having environmental policies, and so on. And then 2 dimensions about the risk. So try to measure and manage the environmental risk of their own activity. So the internal environmental risk, that means the risk that activity of the institution pollute the environment through use of energy, use of waters, and so on. And then the most important one is the external environmental risk, is that the risk that the activity financed through the microfinance institution, so the activity of their clients, has a negative impact on the environment. And this forms another dimension, is environmental risk management. And then a 3rd dimension where we've seen the various microfinance institutions are going through, that is trying to foster green opportunities, namely design products that could support the engagement of their clients in renewable energy, energy efficiency, sustainable agricultural practices, agroforestry, adapted to climate change, and so on. So so this is like an experience-based observation, and along this observation collected from field visits, from various surveys, from the strategic planning of partners, we decide to develop a metric to measure the environmental engagement of MFI. So let me go through the Green Index. So what the Green Index is, so is a tool that has been developed in 2014 by the Microfinance and Environmental Action Group of the European Microfinance Platform. It is aimed to be a practical instrument to assess the environmental performance of the MFI. Now, how did we design it? We didn't just wake up and say that's the tool, but we're already there in place since various years, different tools that measure different dimensions of environmental performance of MFI that has already been used in the field by different actors, and the relevant and strategic role of the action group was that this Microfinance and Environmental Action Group is a unique platform where experts from different backgrounds discuss and meet about green microfinance, and so we try to raise consensus and design a tool that has been accepted as a tool that is relevant for the sector. Indeed, part of this of the action group are academics, NGO, investors, MFIs, donors, consulting firms, and together we gather together the knowledge that we have still there and the experience in the field with clients, and we design the tool that I'm going to present you right now. This is based on 3 main dimensions, as I was telling you. So one is environmental strategy. The other is environmental risk management, that is divided in other 2, so the internal risk and the external risk. And then there is the green opportunity side. Just a remark, this index, as it is right now, is is meant to measure processes and not outcomes. So if an institution has processes that take into account some of these dimensions and not the outcome they have on their clients, that's typical strategy. And then it's presently implemented in social audit tools such as CERMi, on a social rating such as microfinance rating. I will state some of the results of our implementation. And we are presently undergoing a renewal of this index to have a 2.0 version for after the summer, in which I will tell you what's about, but in which we include feedback from this green index in the last 2 years and from a survey that is specially designed for that. So let me just go through a little bit in detail. So the green index is right now integrated in the series SPI4 audit tools, social audit tools, and it looks in the following way. So there are standards that are along these various dimensions, where we try to assess with the yes/no answer the level of engagement of an MFI along these different dimensions. So, for example, first standard: institution address environmental issues through formalized strategy. And here we try to assess if the institution has defined its strategy and then implement the strategy. So if you formalize environmental, the environmental protection is formalized inside the vision and the mission. He has an environmental policies. He consults his various stakeholders about the environment. And then, of course, there is some people in place inside the institution that take care about environmental issues. Is a quantitative objective are set, if there are incentives to go through this environmental engagement, and if the environmental performance of the MFI is reported. So altogether, these various, this is example of this first dimension, measure the level of engagement of the processes of an MFI along his strategic environmental dimension. And then I was telling you there is a risk dimension where instead we try to measure if the institution implement action to reduce its internal ecological footprint. So if there are activities that raise awareness of the employees on their environmental footprint, and if you define processes or implement mechanisms to reduce various potentially polluting activity inside the institution, and of course if it's measured this advance. Then we have the external environmental risk management dimension, where instead we try to assess if the institution has processes to assess the environmental risk of the activities they're financing. So first of all, evaluate the level of environmental risk of their client. So here you see there are kind of indicators that are proposed to the institution. If the level of environmental risk is included in the credit assessment, and then if of course it is monitored afterwards, and of course there are procedures inside the institution that try to raise awareness of the client about their environmental risk. We should always take into account that when we speak about environmental risk, it's not just a question of environment, because in many times is correlated with other kind of risk, that is health. That is energy poverty, that is lack of opportunities to development, and so on. So we'll be happy to discuss if you have questions about that. And then, of course, there is the dimension of environmental opportunities, where we try to see if the institution has actual products, and here we speak about both financial and non-financial products, they try to support the green investment of their clients. And then here we divide in various dimensions. So we try to assess, first of all, if the institution has a product for renewable energy or energy efficiency, or if instead has green non-energy products, namely that try to foster better agriculture practices, for example, or other sustainable activity, let's say as recycling, waste management, ecotourism, and so on. Or if you have prevention measuring through credits that support an increase in resiliency of the client and decrease in vulnerability to environmental degradation and climatic risk. And then, of course, we measure also, we try to assess if the institution has other financial products that are non-credit, that are supposed to foster the environmental engagement or protect the client from environmental risk, as for example microinsurance, climatic or agricultural microinsurance. And then if it has non-financial services, such as training to understand how to install, maintain, for example, solar energy technologies, or how to get engaged in more sustainable and environmental friendly practices. So when you fill all these questionnaires, that is the green index, at the end of the day you will have a picture like that is a triangular picture, where on the three corner you will find the 3 dimensions, so environmental strategies on top, and then green opportunity on the left bottom, and then environmental risk management on the right bottom side. And the full score can go from 0 to 100, and here you see the result of an MFI that's filled, and the shape of this triangle should give you an idea of how much the institution is engaged in the 3 various dimensions. And to try to help this to position it, you can then compare this result to the sectorial level at the country level. And then an interesting thing that I'm going to tell you in a couple of slides is you can use it, this picture, to try to understand if the result you have is in line with expectative, with what you would like your institution will be according to the opportunity you have in the market. So to try to have strategic planning. Just one remark, as I was saying, this is not measuring outcomes as it stands now, and is not meant to be maximized along all directions, just because, as we see, environment, some institutions can find some opportunity to get engaged in environmental management, others can have some other opportunities, and for some institutions it's just not their own business. So it's not supposed to be a tool to be maximized in all their directions. Now, all these guys I put here are guys that have implemented or the green index along different strategies, and there are many more. I just state a couple of slides for each very fast. So CERMi, I think every one of you knows about CERMi, is a well-known social audit tools that aim to measure the social performance of microfinance institutions. And has recently developed an SPI4, so a social performance as the environmental dimension assessment. So it is a complementary module. So is the 7 module that an institution could choose. And according to some bench of MFI that went through this green index, it was 31 in November 2015. Here you can find some scores. So the average social performance score is like 65% on a base from 0 to 100, while the average green score that is based on just an average of this triangle picture is around 30%. Just give you the image that there are institutions that got engaged in green performance. However, nowadays is a bit less developed than social performance, but we will see that it's increasing. Let me see. Yeah. Okay, so that's some message that we can get from the implementation of this first year and a half of the green index. So institution provided feedback after they implement the green index, and the beginner, so the one that basically does not have major environmental strategies or products, declare that it's a learning tool and it contributes to raise awareness of microfinance institutions. And then it helps MFIs to meet their reporting obligation toward donors or investors. And of course, very important, it facilitates the work of a technical assistance provider when we partner with the MFIs to understand better where the technical assistance could go according to where the institution is now. One instead, the more advanced MFI declare that using this green index, they can more consciously manage their environmental performance and improve the weak point that they observe, so to use a strategic planning. Here instead you see a result from microfinance rating. So microfinance rating is one of the major rating agency for microfinance institution, and is introducing since 2015. So last year the green index inside their social rating, so the environmental rating is part of their social rating they are doing, and using a back testing strategy, they were able to track the level of environmental engagement or their clients all along since 2015. and 7, I guess, because we're collecting environmental dimensions in back there and the structure in the picture of the green index, and that will be it allows to provide this picture here below, where we see that the green index, instead in their own database score as the for series, is lower than the other dimension, namely the financial score and the social score. Okay, here you see, but it's not bad. It's like they had on average 37% on the institution. That meaning that there is engagement in the field, and then on average you see that the majority of the MFI score on a moderate level with some adequated. So here's more or less is the average score of an MFI on the green index. Some are excellent and some, of course, we see are weak. And here, if you're interested in some breakdown of the data microfinance rating has, according to region, scale, and the kind of the legal status of the institution and the year of the social rating. So the most important thing to see is that, of course, there is a better performance for larger institutions normally, because they have economies of scale and more experience to go through environmental management, and then and also more formalized institution. And then interesting to see is that if you group the social rating according to years of implementation, there is an increase in the score of the green index, namely that the sector is going more a conscious implementation of environmental management. Here, just another example. You can use the green index to also do sectorial studies, namely not just assess an MFIs, but try to assess country level or regional level. Here, the result along 4 dimensions of environmental strategy. I was saying internal and external environmental risk and green opportunities of 3 studies we've been doing. The green one is worldwide, the blue one is a European level, and the yellow is at Central American level. And here you see the score as it goes. And now let me just try to conclude stating how the green index could also be used to have a strategic planning. So one of the key elements that be used to design the green index was also the experience by EVOS and Include that the design since long time thing that is called the Green Performance Agenda. They try to measure the environmental performance of an institution, and then according to the environmental performance of today, try to define what will be the optimal environmental performance in the future, and then support the gap analysis of how an institution can go from today to tomorrow. So, now, inside this Green Performance Agenda, there is actualized the green index, so it's using exactly the same indicators. And you see from this just an example of analysis we were doing of a sample of 21 Indonesian MFIs. You see how they score along the 3 dimensions, so internal environmental risk management, external environmental risk, and environmental opportunities. Unfortunately, here there is no the strategies, but okay, fine. And here you see on a level of beginner, basic, intermediate, advanced, and integrate. Here is how they score these 20 institutions today. So when we did the green index, and then according to what is the willingness of the institution, and then of course what are the opportunities according to the regional development for green management or reporting opportunities at the level of energy sector, at the board level, at the investor, and so on. You can define what will be the optimal level of environmental engagement tomorrow, and you see there is a shift toward the right, and then we support the MFIs to understand where we want to go tomorrow according to what we are able to do today and according to their actual opportunities and actual willingness to do that. So let me just concluding this speech for what is coming next. We are presently nowadays working, as I was telling you, to a 2.0 version of the green index, because we think that after the first pilot phase, so that gave the result I provided you, and that has been already integrated in various reporting tools, we think is a good moment to work and try to include the feedback we have from the field. And so what we are doing is designing a 2.0 version that will be presented in November at the European Microfinance Platform Microfinance Week. And the main change will be that it will be more user-friendly. so more easy to fill. That's one thing. Second will be we are looking for more balance among the various dimensions, so the 3 dimensions I was telling you about, and that's been split also in 4 dimensions to divide the internal and external risk. And then the most important thing is that we have these 2 years of experience running from various actors that I just state. They include EVOS, I state microfinance rating, I state series that have been implemented them, but also others have been implemented that, so an NGO in Luxembourg. And so we have this feedback from the field that we like to integrate. And then last year, we ran a survey along more than 100 MFIs with a mixed market, where we received feedback of once the level of engagement of the MFIs, first of all, at the quantitative level, so how much portfolio is dedicated, what are the strategies that are implemented, and so forth, and also, and more importantly, what are the indicators of the MFI fields that are more important for them, and what are indicators that they feel that they are more able to track. And so we are integrating this feedback in the green index and introducing quantitative indicator that is not, as you see, the green index state today is more a yes/no answer, and now in the future will be a yes/no answer plus some set of indicators that will try to assess the actual outreach of the procedures and product developed by the institution. I think we're fine. So thanks a lot.